Hey, welcome back. We're back in our Whitepaw colony, and today we've got a whole bunch of farming to do. Last time we got our agronomy degrees, and we got our super fertilizing towers, so we're going to try and put in both of those today and see what we've got. First of all, we need to find a good spot around here to put in those towers. This one should probably be the first one we try for. Let's see if we can maybe get it in. I put it in here, and we say that's of high importance. We're going to have to find a way up. I think that will let us put in the tower there. Yep, let's see. We've got that. There's our tower. Here's our super... There we go. The real trick is to be able to get the beavers up there. So, if we turn this... we can't go that way. Why can we not go that way? But we can go every other way? Well, that's strange. That's fine. Let's put you in here. Yep, there's the 300. And then we're going to get one of the things we should have probably got a long time ago and get a ladder. This ladder is going to enable us to do a whole lot of nifty stuff that we're going to need to do eventually. So we'll get that in there, and that covers a good portion of this upper spot. A lot of cabbages, a lot of the sunflower seeds, and the pumpkins here. Over here, we're going to do the same. I'm going to put it a little farther over, though, so maybe we can get more of this land ready to be farmed. Let's see. If we do another one... Well, I'm going to have to find it again. There we go. There it is. All right. If we do that here, that covers most of that field. In fact, if we put it here, that covers... Does that cover everything there? Yep. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to ladder right up to it. Ladders. There we go. Grab a road. Well, hopefully grab a road. There we go. That should take care of this area. Are there any other areas? We could definitely use one down here in the middle to get these crops going as well. So if we do one more of these. Here we go. Well, that goes right in there. Where should we put it, though, is the question. Let's go maybe... That covers most of the stuff and only really takes one extra spot. If I put it here, can I get in there? Which way do I want it to face? I could get up to the top of this. That would work. No, we'll do this. That covers all of the area. And then we'll remake this one into... Let's pause this so that they all leave. All right, everybody out. We're going to have to pause this for a bit. Get out of there. Get out of there. No. No more flying beavers. There we go. Now if I replace this, we dig up this one crop here, and then we do these here. There we go. You can go right underneath there. That should let them in here, and hopefully that increases our amount of crops that we can pull in all at once. It looks like they've started on a couple of them, but we'll give it a few just so they can get those in. Last time we were working on putting in these large water wheels down this way, and we had a couple of dynamites. It looks like we've got a couple of them in. We can take those, but we're going to need more dynamite to get into some other places. It looks like I could use maybe... Let's do a couple here so they can get to those. We'll do one here, one here, one here. And then we need to keep going down. We might as well almost. There we go. On this side, though, is there anywhere that we can put these? Maybe here? I'm going to need 2 more of these to come out here. There we go. Grab one of you. And then we'll be able to put hopefully the other one over here once they're done blowing that up. And that should be enough for those. We'll kind of work them in all the way down. Can they do that? No, that's too close. Can they do this? That should be fine, but we'd have to take out part of the riverbank there. You know what? Let's just put it here, and we'll live with whatever they happen to need to get out of it. And we'll just work our way down that riverbank. It's going to take them a few to put everything in it here anyway. Plus, we don't have a ton of power at the moment, and we need it. Speaking of power, it looks like I forgot to build some stairs here. So let's go back, grab those. There we go. Yep, that should let them get up there. And then once they're up there, they can build that, connect everything back in. And we can start working maybe on some of these at some point today, too. Doing a quick inspection of the power. I think I can actually get another one of the power wheels in here. Oops, I wanted to keep that one. Oh well, they'll have to rebuild it. If I grab this, though, and put that there, yeah, it might not generate a ton of power, but it is possible that it will generate some, so we might as well do that. We'll say that those are a little more important, too, so that it restores our power over to our drill here when the power finally comes back on. It's taken a lot longer than I thought for the power to return, and that's causing some slowdown here. So what I want to do is this whole line right here looks like a good spot that I can put in some power from other sources. So if we choose power, we do have the engine. It might use a couple more of our leaves, but I guess not leaves, but the nenufars. Can I get this in anywhere? Maybe here? Can I do that? Nope. But I can do this. Tell you what, let's just do this one first. And when they've got everything in there, we'll see if we can connect it in. It might take them a minute or two, but at least it'll provide some power while we're waiting for other things to come back online. That was a bit quicker than I thought it was going to be. But of course, it's just as the power starts to pick back up. So, do I want to break this and then put this in line? I kind of do. Let's see, where's the plug on these? You know what? I don't remember. It is on the right there. So, let's take this out. Let's take this out. And we'll take the road out from underneath it here. Well, maybe easier said. There we go. One road out from underneath there. Let's go into the downward. Not the downward. It's the upward that we need. I always get that backwards. There's that. And then we actually need the T intersection downward. We'll spin the 40 science. We'll say that these are super high priority so that they can get in there. We'll also say, okay, that one is already full. So when it comes online, we can keep track of it. And then if we don't need it, like the battery is full or something, we can turn it back off. There we go. The power came back on, and that let us finish all the paths up to the irrigating towers. This one, there's a whole bunch more green over here that we can start to use. And what about the last one over here? Well, they're at least back into the T Lodge, so we'll get them back in here in a second. Looks like we need metal blocks. Am I out of metal blocks? I'm still making metal blocks. It just must have needed most of them. But at least we're all connected back up again. Over here, it looks like they've got a lot of this in, so we can go down and just explode out a lot of these extra dynamite. There we go. That's all in. And they're putting this wheel in, so I can probably flip this around. There we go. Let's get that. And then to connect it all into the rest of it, I'm actually going to dig down through the ground. So if we take our dynamite, we're just going to do a 4. That should get us to the bottom here. Then I need a couple of tunnels out this way to get it connected back up into here. And since we don't have another one of these at the moment, or really a need for one of these at the moment, we'll just connect it in by probably some of these. I won't put them all the way over until we can get there. And then I think I'm going to do the same thing with pretty much all of them. There's nothing under here that would keep me from... Nope, not really. So if we just go... So you're going to go in there. Let's grab another one of these. And then I got to get it out past the point where it would cause a problem if I exploded it. But we'll go down here. And then here, I think I can actually just go... You sitting on yeah, you're sitting on an actual piece of rock. So we can explode that down there. And then we'll work on the tunnels to get the power connected back in. Now that we're actually making the rope again, I'm noticing that we're really low on fibers. We were pretty much full and now completely done. The only problem with fibers is that what we're going to set up here in just a bit, the GMO, I believe it is, wherever it is, does not produce... There it is, GMO Growing Lab. It produces every plant thing that you could want other than the fibers. The only place to get the fibers is the florist, which to me is kind of weird. It feels like they should be in there, but you never know. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put a couple more on top. In fact, we might just do this and get ourselves a whole bunch of fibers. Let's go ahead. We'll put ladders in here so they can get up to it. There we go. We'll say one on every floor. We'll make sure that everything is connected in here. You go there, there, and there. And does that take them across to the other portions? That should let them go across there. We'll check back on that, but let's make that slightly more important since right now we're kind of rope starved and we need the ropes. So the sooner we get them, the better. They've got the 4 dynamites in here, so let's go ahead and take those out of there. There we go. Good. No flooding. That's what we wanted to see. Make sure we can get out to that one. There we go. And then here, we just need to build the shafts down. However, over here, we're actually going to have to build something else first. We're going to have to build some ladders in here. Let's go this way. And we'll go this way so that we can actually go down and tunnel out these ones that we need. So let's go... Where's our dynamites? There they are. You can go out this way. You'll come down and over this way. And hopefully... Well, I guess we can just connect them all in right there. In the meantime, though, this is going to need... You know what? Do I have a universal? Let's do a universal there, because there might be a couple of them coming in and going out. This one will need a T. That one will probably need a T. This one will eventually need a T, but I think everything else should be fine. We just got to get them to build some of this stuff so that they can get in there. Also, let's go ahead and maybe just put in this, and maybe they'll do some of it on their own. I guess we could make a, like, secondary tunnel somewhere, just so they could dig under here and get that out. That might be a possibility. We'll check into that when we can. Oh, you know what? I cleared this all out so that we could get some more of the water wheels up here. But I forgot to actually put the water wheel in. So let's go ahead. I'm going to do that. And then we'll connect in a water wheel here. And then eventually, maybe we'll put one in here? Yeah, we'll put one in there. They're not going to be all perfectly lined up, but it's a weird alley, so it should be okay. Like they're filling this in. They're bombing that pretty well. Let's go ahead. We can get in some of the power structures here. I believe it's that way that we'll want. So we'll do that. This. And then we'll put a turn here for whenever that finally comes in. And then hopefully I've put that in the right way so that they can connect in all those other ones. Well, here's an odd bug. Just in case anybody ever has that. I've put 2 of these side by side and yeah, this one's not being built. So I'm not sure. Obviously, it says it's too far from the district. If I move to the side, maybe you can kind of see that, but it's claiming it's too far from the district, but it shouldn't be because, well, it's right next to this one, which has a path there. So maybe there's something up with that, but we can build in something in the meantime. We'll do some more ladders, and then we'll do platforms to give them a second entrance to all of this. There we go. Second entrance, second exit. We connect these in. There we go. And that can go there. Then we should be getting, hopefully, more fibers and more ropes as we go along. We're still just barely keeping any in stock at all. We finally managed to gather up enough of the science that we're going to need to get our next level of farm. So, tell you what we can do here is let's go ahead and grab that farm. Oh, it's not a farm, is it? It's under basic and tree nursery. That's what we're looking for. Tree nursery. And we're going to put it here about in the middle, just so we can get the most possible space out of it. You know what? Let's put you... Let's see how that looks. And can we get a road to come straight down into it? Oh, well, it would help if I put it facing the right way, wouldn't it? There we go. Let's do that. And now we can finally start growing some of the other stuff, the more exotic stuff that we could... Nope, I don't want to demolish that we couldn't before. So now, look, we've got our sequoias. Let's go ahead and we'll just mark this whole area for sequoias. And then we'll do grapes out on this side. There we go. That's a bunch of grapes. And I think you have to have somebody to actually harvest the grapes. They won't harvest on their own. Same with the sequoias. Let's see. We need some kind of sequoia feller. We'll find that in a minute. Let's find the grapes items first, and then we can go from there. So the grapes are going to be the harvester's cottage. We can get those in there. That's not too terrible. In fact, we can take a road out here and come this way with it. The other one is actually in advanced buildings. It's 300 more science, so we're going to have to wait a minute, and then we'll find a spot for it. They've got all of the tunnels dug out here, so we can go ahead and take out all of this and get ourselves back the materials that we used. Let's do that. Let's also, you know what, we'll draw in the power lines that we can. We can take you out of there. We go 2 here. We can go 1 there. We can go 1 there. And we might have to draw a road back to this one. They should be able to get that with the, with those, but we'll do it anyway. There we go. We'll work on getting that set up here in just a minute so that we can add that power to our power network. Back over here, we finally have the 300 to get us enough to finally get our giant sequoia feller. So let's move all of this back 1. We'll take out all of this. There we go. And we'll put in a couple of support structures. Maybe that many? Let's see how many this is going to take. Giant sequoia feller. Oh, just about that many. There we go. And that should let us cut, just about everything that's going to come up in here. So we'll get those in, and then we'll actually start being able to get some of the giant sequoia logs. That'll be nice. You know what? While we're over here, we're not really using this very often, so I'm going to take out some of these. This might end up being some extra storage. Let's see. We don't really need... Are we making extra sawdust? We can make extra sawdust somewhere else. This hopefully frees up a couple of beavers so that we can continue working on things that we might need to continue working on. If we need sawdust, I have these couple of them left over here, and they're making planks currently. Do we even need planks, really? Have we used a bunch of planks? No, not really. So, tell you what, we'll make this one make sawdust since we're currently losing sawdust overall. There we go. Hopefully that helps balance things out. And what is this? We're low on kimchi. We're low on cabbages. We're low on Just a little bit of everything, but not of anything that's going to cause major problems. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it. We might need more cabbages at one point, but these should be growing faster now. So hopefully these guys are picking them up as they go. Would you look at that? They've got now our tree nursery in. There's a couple that have been assigned. Oh, and there is our harvester cottage. So as soon as they get to planting here, the first of the sequoias is in. That's what we wanted to see. Now they're starting on the grapes. Maybe they'll swap duties, I guess you could say, and one will do one and one will do the other. Maybe they'll just work on whatever's closest at the time. And we'll at least get that taken care of today. Our science speed still isn't what I want it to be, so we're going to toss in a third library. Yep, these beavers are going to be very well read, but hopefully that at least lets us kind of catch up. Eventually, we're going to want to get a nursing license too, so we don't want to slow down science much more than it is to get those. We should have everything that we need. Incredibly compact. Yep, we sure do. So they just have to build that real quick, and then hopefully we get some more science. Looks like there might be a slight issue with our zipline station here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the platform balloon trick that we've been using so far. Trading balloons? No, that's not it. We want zip line on a balloon. There we go. A picture of a zip line with a balloon. Who would have ever guessed that was what we were looking for? There we go. And then we'll just redirect it over this way and then down here. Plus then I can come out this way if I need to and go to these other locations at some point. And that'll get this large water wheel a partner over here. Finally, we get to use our degree today. It is the wine cellar that we're going to first. I do the GMO growing lab, but I don't have the firefly stuff for that yet. So we'll have to come back with that. But the wine cellar basically takes the production of the barrels and multiplies it by 10. So these do about 2.5 units per hour. Or at least for the chestnut beer they do. Here they do about 25 units an hour. So that means if I take out these two, like so, and we come in, we put in a wine cellar. Can I put in a wine cellar here? You know what? There was two. Here's two more. We can go ahead and take those out. Let's take these trees out of there. If it will let me. Take these out. Just so they're not in the way. We'll say that goes out, that goes out. Let's make that very important. There we go. Those can go out. Once those are out, we'll go ahead. We'll take the wine cellar. Now, I believe the wine cellar has you enter on the second floor. Let's take a quick look. Yes. But in this case, what I'm going to do is we're just going to blow up the area below it so that it can go down a level. Let's see. Where's that dynamite? There it is. Dynamite. Let's go this way. In fact, what height is this? This is 3. If I were to put it on the very bottom level, and then I could actually probably fit more in there. So let's do that. We'll have them come in and we'll blow all this up. Plus, we'll do one more in front because we have ladders. Ladders have been very useful today. So we'll do that. And we'll let them get all that put in there. There we go. We've got all those in there. So let's go ahead. Detonate those out. Nope, beaver, you're going to have to go around the other way. There you go. And once it does that, we'll drop in our... There we go. Let's do water. Not water. Let's do food. Let's do wine cellar. Oop, that might have been one too many. But you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. We're going to put you in here. Yep, you can go there. And here we will go... Let's get our Staircases in here, and we'll do that. Have them put that back in here. Here, we can do this. Let's get a little storage tanks, and we can do small covered tank for each, just so that people can come and get them. We'll do one platform here. There we go. And this can go across here into here so that they've got all of that connected. We'll set this up for chestnut beer. And we'll set these up for chestnut beer as well. In fact, let's do this. We'll get even more to be able to be stored here. We'll get the one platform so that we can come back and do that. Now it actually is a wine cellar that it's under the ground. We'll go ahead and get all of those in there. And then the next one we could just stack on top if we wanted to. In fact, we might just make a second one. There we go. We'll get all of that in and use both of those. And basically follow this format all the way up. There we go. More of these. Nope, that's not what we wanted. How about you? 1, 2. 1, 2. Grab you. That goes in there. You go in here. And connect in here. Don't quite need this one yet, so we'll take those out. These can... maybe. There we go. These can go in here like so. And then we'll set them... this one can be for kimchi, and we can start eliminating a lot of these barrels once they've got them in here. And the reason I want to eliminate these barrels is they are autonomous. Mostly they can take a beaver, but the thing is there's got to be somebody that takes something to them every time, and I think it's better if they just have one place to take things to, and once it's full then the haulers can be taking things to other places and be just a bit more efficient that way. So that my scavenger junkyard is just out of range for these, so while we're waiting on them to set up those wine cellars, I should be able to... mini connections. Okay, that's the only problem though. We'll move it over. They should be able to get the last of it. And then we can start looking around maybe for some other metal, such as this over here that we'll eventually need to pull out. They got our balloon in, so if I take that one away and we add a connection to the balloon, then the balloon can come down to here, and we've got an extra way to come across there. Plus, we can finally get this second one here. There we go. That'll give us even more power. How are we doing under here? We're almost joined back in, so we should be able to get that joined back in pretty soon. There we go. We've got 2 of them in there. And one is making... we're going to have one make sake and one make kimchi. The conversion rates aren't quite the same, but we can probably take out quite a few of these barrels. Let's go through and... you know what? There was a whole bunch of barrels up here, and I think they were making... yep, there's the beer. There's the sake. So 2, 4, 6, 8 I can probably take out here without changing much. There we go. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can probably take out just about all of these. And then we save our beavers... just a little bit there. In fact, we might switch a couple of the sake barrels over to the beer real quick. Let's see if there's any down here. Let's see. If we do, that's kimchi. That's sake. Let's do that. And nope. There's another one. We'll do that. Then we can come back up here and... theoretically, we shouldn't need these anymore. We'll see how that goes. If we're still full, we might start pausing some more of these barrels as we go. But it figures that the first thing that we get out of college is basically how to make better booze. But I think that's gonna do it for us today. So, as always, just want to say thank you very much for stopping by, and hope to see you next time. Bye!